The game plays right here.
Are you ready for some football? Yeah!
Your sports leader, WOHS Shelby, WLON Lincoln, and WCSL Cherryville Gastonia.
And good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Shock Joxx, episode 80. I'm Kevin Hastings, along with, well, by myself right now. I was all by myself. Zach's not here. Zach's going to be off a few weeks, maybe a month. Might not even see him in September. Might be back he might be our October surprise. Excuse me, Hunter, down the hall. And I'm just sitting here all by myself live here at 2 o'clock. Seemed like everybody in the building had to go take a potty break at the same time. Hunter, Andre, my daughter. Got baseball practice today. I forgot to load those videos up. We'll have them for Saturday. Saturday show. I got highlights of my daughter and coach pitch. Today we've got NFL news, some roster projections. Coming up next week, we'll have that. And I forgot my pen. And we got NBA Game 7's. Last night was one. And then we have one today, or tonight, on KTC. I mean, not on KTC, but on just in general. Let's see. Then we've got some Major League Baseball standings to talk about today. And about a little bit of everything. In the investor push. Have you read that story about Washington's name?
I've not.
It says behind the scenes and the investor push to change the name.
Oof. So it is a money thing.
So Hunter is back, which means I'm going to walk down the hall and get my hat. But Hunter, did you see this wonderful story on ESPN over here?
Oh, no.
I just can't even do it anymore.
Oh, no. Please tell me this is a joke.
No, it's not. The internet. There we go. There's my internet with our cams. But yeah, Mike Trout, he's now better than 2 more Hall of Famers.
Well, I've not read it, but I don't really want to see what 2 Hall of Famers they're wanting to list.
So, and the way they do it, if you see this guy talking, of course, Hunter, it's the way he words it. They're now better than 2 more Hall of Famers, and it's 100% based on one stat.
War.
Yes, it is. I mean, the whole article is nothing but
War.
And I've printed off some interesting stats down the hall about it, but we'll get into that later.
I just don't understand. So, like, I'm in a statistics class right now, just taking statistics, and one of the projects that we're going to have to do is just, you decide on what statistics you want to pull up, and you'll do comparison stuff like that. It's just a class-long project. And I want to do, of course, some sort of sports statistic. And my teacher's a huge sports fan. He seems to be a pretty big baseball fan. And I wanted to ask him, what he thought about war, but I forgot. I just didn't think about it.
Yeah.
And it's only because, you make this argument and I make this argument. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure Terry, Tom, and everybody else that comes on this show makes this argument about war. It's the name itself, wins above replacement. Well, we can all sit here and say, well, what if the person behind you, first of all, never plays?
It should be 4.
And he's a scrub.
4, shouldn't it? FWAR. For fictitious.
Okay, yeah. For war. Yeah, fictitious.
4. Because they don't, like you said, they don't use your average replacement player. They use his replacement player. They use whatever the average is. But nonetheless.
But not only that, but it's just one of those things where, say, wins above replacement, and it apparently holds so much weight.
Like, how important is that stat?
Yet his team is last in their own division.
Right. They don't even count actual wins. So to me, Hunter, the way you would do it would be like, okay, in the 12 games that we won, how much did he help in those games?
Yeah.
But you can get war, apparently, in a loss. So
that's not a win.
Then it didn't help you win, right?
Exactly.
So if you go and count all the players and count up all their war, it doesn't add up to their win total. So it doesn't actually count actual wins. So there is no comparison of their actual wins and their actual losses. It's what would happen if another guy was. It's so weirdly random. And to me, look, if that's a stat you want to use and that's a stat somebody likes, fine. But to use that as the all-determining factor
on who is a Hall of Famer and who's better than who, because I could argue this year, I seriously can sit here and argue Max Fried is the better player this year than Mike Trout, just based off of WAR. Okay, well, and that actually comes into play right now.
For example.
But that's him as a pitcher. He doesn't even get to hit.
Trout with 12 wins has better WAR than Freddie Freeman does. Now, who has helped their team more this year?
Freddie Freeman. We have 20 wins on the season. And Freddie Freeman fought the coronavirus, too. Yeah. And he's out here helping us
I didn't
win.
want to start with WAR, but you kind of, since you're talking about your project, we can.
No, I mean, we don't have to. We can start, but you brought up the story, and...
Yeah, go ahead. I'll run down the hall and grab my sheet, and I just need to get my hat anyway, too. So the two guys are Larry Walker and Jim Thome. Larry Walker and Jim Thome.
I don't think I can agree with the Larry Walker. Jim Thome, maybe. Jim Thome was great, though, for what he did. He was great. I don't know. And then, and not to mention, Kevin just runs down here, goes off to get his hat, and I'm looking here as another story. Fernando Tatis Jr. versus Mike Trout. Which player would you rather have for the next decade? And you can't ask that. You can't compare these two players. You can't, because Mike Trout's pushing 30 and Fernando Tatis is in his early 20s. So the easy answer for me is I'm going to take the younger guy in Tatis, and not only that, but it's relevancy. It's relevancy biased, because Tatis Jr. is having a hell of a year. Maybe I want Dansby Swanson over Tatis Jr. As a Braves fan, I think Dansby Swanson has done a great job this year. It all depends on what you need and the positions that you're looking to fill. You're asking me if I want what looks to be, if he projects out to stay this way, a transcendent shortstop talent. He's got the power to be able to launch home runs. He can make contact with the ball, good batting average, and he's outstanding in the field. Or do I want the guy that I could really just put in right field and is going to either walk or strike out? I mean, get me a home run. I don't know. That's weird to me. Yeah, you just walked down here, and I didn't know if you saw this one either, this story as well.
One?
Yeah, the Tatis versus Mike Trout. And I'm like, first of all, because
shortstop every time. Folks.
It says, which player would you rather have for the next decade?
The shortstop.
But it's also, you can't ask that question and compare those two. Because it's the same thing that you always say, where it's like, they're always like, well, Mike Trout is the youngest to do this. Yeah. Well, Mike Trout had only got in the league earlier than these guys did. So I expect him to have those numbers by this time. Now you're asking me which player would I rather have for the next decade. Well, Mike Trout is in his late 20s pushing 30s, and Tatis Jr. is in his early 20s and just getting started. So
that's not close.
And it's and that's such relevancy biased. Yeah. Tatis Jr. is good, but we just saw that for this year. I mean, at least I've got a 9 going on 10 season span of what Mike Trout has done to decide on whether or not I want Mike Trout on my team. Tatis Jr., I've seen him, and this isn't even going to be the full 162-game season.
No.
So these statistics could be so swayed compared to what he does next year. I'm telling you, baseball they are trying to make headlines. They are trying to do something to try and get their sport a little bit more excitement.
Trying to give you something to talk about.
And it's just, I think the one thing that they should take away is that there has been more excitement about the shorter season and maybe run with that. But don't make up these kind of BS, stories.
Mm-hmm.
I know they're just storylines and it's all biased because just based on what the writer's thinking at the time. But stuff like this, I'm not going to take away from Tatis Jr. He's very good, and he's going to get a lot of MVP votes for the National League. But this is just his first season. This is the first time anybody's really...
Is he the MVP right now, National League?
Possibly. To me, right now in the National League, it would be Tatis. If you're talking batters, yes.
Yeah, definitely batters. See, the pitchers thing, I don't think
the pitchers I will still push. I mean, if they don't get free to Cy Young this year, I mean, he's got 6 wins. He's 6-0. The Braves have won all 8 games that he started, and he's got a sub 2.5 ERA.
I don't want a pitcher winning MVP unless his team. When do they give the award? During the postseason? I know it's a regular season award.
I think so.
But it's hard to give an MVP to someone who only pitches or plays in 1/5 of your games. They wouldn't do that in any other position. I understand that that's what they do.
Mm-hmm.
Now if he goes 25-1, something 2, if your ERA is below 2, I'll have an argument with you.
Mm-hmm.
I'll listen to your argument.
Yeah.
Bob Gibson goes,
his ERA right now is 1.6.
Okay, I'll listen. In a 60-game season, I'll listen. But
he's tied for first in wins.
But what's the point of having a Cy Young award if you're going to give the MVP to a pitcher?
I completely agree with that. I understand that. I do. He's got 6 wins. He's 8-0 in games he started. He's third in ERA.
Who's 8-0?
The Braves are 8-0.
All right, guys, ladies and gentlemen, pay attention closely to what I'm about to say for those Trout backers and those WAR. In his 8, they're 8-0 in his starts, right?
Mm.
The Angels only have 12 wins total. So every time he pitches,
he's definitely more
every
valuable.
time he pitches, they've won 8 games.
He's far more valuable.
And Trout, the Angels have won 12 games, and that's it. They're the worst team in the American League right now.
The worst team in baseball is still the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Yeah, and we just got swept by them. Good job, Cardinals. You got swept by the worst team in baseball. I mean, I just like after you lose the first game to that team, Hunter, does that not piss you off enough to be like, guys, we ain't getting swept by these jokers. We ain't getting losing 2 games to these fools. And no, there they went. I
mean, Tatis Jr. leads in RBIs, and he's tied for first in home runs in the league. So
yeah.
But Trey Turner's got the best batting average for Washington, and he's also first in hits. He's got almost 50 hits. He's got 49.
What's Tatis batting? Is he over 300?
Let me look at complete leaders. I was just looking at the leader stats. Fernando Tatis is batting .313. So he's batting over 300. Barely, but he's doing it. 31%.
Well, hell, Hunter, there's only 32 people over 300 right now.
Freddie Freeman hitting better than he is. He's batting .314.
I want to go back to as far as this thing will let me go. How many people did I say are over 32 people over 300?
32 people over 300.
Let's go to the 2002 regular season.
Manny Machado's up there. Dansby Swanson is a part of the 300 club. And I'm looking for a certain name, and I can't,
35.
I hate to tell you this. I just don't see the certain name I'm looking for, though.
What's that?
Batting above 300.
What's that?
It's old Mike Trout.
He's hitting like 268 or 270.
So let's go. Let's see how much further I have to go down. Mookie Betts is just under 300. He just got a whole bunch of money.
Yeah, you got to keep on going.
Bryce Harper, $289. He got a buttload of money.
Let me read, Hunter, the
I'm at 50.
Yeah.
And it says show more, and I still haven't hit Mike Trout in batting average.
So let me say, I'm going to read what it says about Walker and Tommy, but here's the things he's never done. He's never had a 30 homer, 100 RBI season. He's never had 40 doubles in a season. He's never had a gold glove. He's never won a single playoff game. He's never had 50 home runs in a season. He's never had 200 hits in a season. And Hunter, you just said, what was the last thing you just talked about with him? He hasn't led the, you said batting average. It was batting average. He has never led the league in batting average.
He's not even in the top 50 this year.
So here's just,
and this is a shortened season.
Without even looking, so folks, I'm not even bringing up the stats or wars or anything right now. I'm just saying things that he's done in one season. He's never done any of that. So here's Larry Walker. He's had 4 40 double seasons. Now these stats that I'm about to give you, folks, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, the stats I'm about to give you. So Trout's only played 10 years.
Yeah.
1,200 games. So I went through Larry Walker and Jim Thome and found out a comparable number of games.
It's like real estate. We do comps, all right? So they got to be about the same amount of games.
Right. So this ended up being Walker's Colorado career and Thome in Cleveland is what I ended up doing. So it ended up being, they're not the exact number of games, but they're close. But either way, in 10 seasons in Anaheim, Mike Trout has never had any of those. And he's not going to have any of that this year. Larry Walker, in his seasons, he played 60 less games in Colorado than Trout has in L.A. He's got 4 40 double seasons, 4 330 home run, 100 RBI seasons. 3 seasons of 100 Ks is it, but he also has 3 batting titles. 3 times he led the Major League Baseball. I mean, the league he was in batting average. 7 Gold Gloves, 1 MVP, and a 200 hit season, none of which Trout has ever had. Trout's best batting average was 326. Larry Walker's 379. Trout's most homers 46. Walker is 49. Let me pull up that so I make sure I get all this right. Now the reason I want to say all this is to give you. I'm giving you numbers that shows Larry Walker might have better numbers than Trout. So what I went through, Hunter, I went and did their averages for 162 games during all that.
Right.
So here's what you get when we compare the 3 across it as far as their averages. Trout averages 39 home runs, Larry Walker 36, Jim Thome 39. RBIs, Trout 103, Larry Walker 118, Thome 109. Doubles, 33 for Trout. Larry Walker in Colorado, Hunter, averaged 41 doubles a season.
Acuna just had 30 last year.
He averaged 41 doubles a season, did Larry Walker in Colorado. That's just outstanding. He played 10 years in Colorado, so he's basically pretty much him and Trout are at the same point of their careers as he was in Colorado before he moved on. And Walker's got all of that more things than he don't. The couple of other things on the averages. Trout averaged 178 hits. Larry Walker 189. Jim Thome 157. Runs 122 for Trout, 124 for Walker, 108 for Thome. 117 walks for Thome, 108 walks for Trout, and 81 walks for Walker. So Walker's biggest thing is he didn't walk as much as them. But in the strikeout, he destroys them. Only 91 Ks per 162 games. Mike Trout averages 152 Ks in 162 games, and Thome 163 strikeouts in 100.
Mike Trout almost averages 1 strikeout.
No, there is no almost. He does exactly. It's over that. It's 163. So he averages 1 strikeout. Oh, you said Mike Trout.
Yeah, Mike Trout.
Thome averages exactly 1.
Yeah, no. I said Mike Trout's close. He's at like 150.
0.9.
Yeah, he's close. But 150 per 162 games, come on now.
152 per 162
Might as well
games.
just go ahead and add the extra strikeouts and just make it a solid 1.
So,
I don't know.
So let me read this to you, Hunter, what it says about About the comparison.
Yes,
and then I'll let you give your thoughts.
What I said when you first listed the 2 Hall of Famers that the people that wrote this article said Mike Trout had passed. I said there's no way he passed Larry Walker. Jim Thome it could be arguable, but there's no way he passed Larry Walker.
The big thing with Thome is, are you going to sit here and say a guy with 297 home runs already has a better career than Jim Thome, who finished with, was it 600 home runs? Let me make sure I
don't remember exactly how many.
Pull that up. Listen, the whole Trout thing is you keep telling me that they keep telling me War Hunter wins above replacement. You've never won a playoff game. You've never won anything. So what are you winning? What are you winning? Are you beating the Kansas City Royals more than everybody else beats them? Yeah, he finished with 612 home runs, Hunter.
Now, how many seasons did he play?
Now, he played 22 years.
Okay. Mike Trout still couldn't catch that if you just double what he's doing right now.
If Trout doubled what he's doing right now, he would be at 595 when he would need 2 years to get about 25 homers at age 40.
The legs start to give out towards that age.
Well, that's the big thing with him, Hunter. Everybody keeps talking about, age and all this, but, this is his 10th season.
Yeah.
Like people after year 10 just... They got 5 more years, basically, of good baseball, and then after that, you're hanging on.
Your first 10 years and your last 10 years, they aren't just mirrored.
No.
All right,
No.
At some point, you hit a wall, and it's like, okay, crash. You hit the wall, crash. We've been waiting for Tom Brady to do that, and he has kind of shown little spurts of it. And he's going on year, 2021? Because he spent 20 years in New England, now he's getting ready to do his 21st year in Tampa, something like that. So we're waiting for Tom Brady to do that, and that is in a sport that requires a whole lot more athleticism, and you get hit a whole lot more than in baseball.
If they don't change the quarterback rules 10 years ago, he still wouldn't be playing right now.
Right,
and Breeze wouldn't be either.
And so for baseball, sure, there's an opportunity for you to still be able to play at a high level when you get into your late 30s, but it's nowhere like your first 10 years. So whatever these analytical people think and all these sports writers think like Mike Trout is going to be when his career is done, you cannot just look and say, well, this is what he did in his first 10 years. There's no way he can't do it again in his next 10 years. It's not going to happen. You could look at any sports figure. Their first 10 years and their last 10 years, if they do go on to play even 20 seasons, there's no guarantee that Mike Trout even gets to 20 years. Mike Trout could call it, technically, with the amount of money the Angels threw at him, could call it quits in 2 or 3 years. Says, I signed this long 10-year contract, but I'm not really feeling it anymore, He could. And then what are the beat writers going to write? Huh?
So here's... Walker played till he was 36, pretty much a full season. He played 140 games. Walker was injured a lot. Like, looking at his games, 130 to 140 was about his average. I would say that in the last 3 years there, he only played 38, 44, and 100 games. His last year in Colorado, at age 36, he batted 284 with 16 homers, 79 RBIs. Age 34, Hunter. We was looking at age 35 and stuff. Age 34 for Larry Walker, he batted 350. So here's the thing. Trout's best ever is 326, and he's in his 10th year. Is that going to get better, or is that going to get worse? He's a right-handed hitter, not a lefty. You're just to me, I just don't see your batting average getting better. Walker was ripping it in Colorado. People want to talk about that. That might have something to do with it. But man, he was pretty decent in Montreal too. Colorado was pretty much the middle of his career, 28 through 36. So that's his. That's his. Prime is the word I was looking for.
Prime.
All right, let me read what it says about him so you can see what you say about it. All right, let me read Tommy first, since you're more.
I'm more inclined of maybe eventually. Well, see, I can't really give them that either because they just want to go off of WAR.
That's the only thing
and if WAR in baseball is your only argument, then I'm sorry, we can't have the conversation. You can't just have one little tidbit that you want to throw back and forth in the conversation when somebody can come back at you with 5 or 6 different tidbits that proves you're one wrong.
Okay, looking at Tommy and Trout, their 162 game averages in Cleveland and Trout in Los Angeles are almost exactly the same. So it's 39 homers, 103, 109 RBI, 33, 31 doubles, 178, 157 hits, 122 runs, 108, 108 walks, 117 walks, 152 Ks, 163 Ks. What I would say, if you're comparing them, yes, if you was going to say, you'd say maybe Trout, maybe if he finished his career, you could argue that he's a better ball player if you want to say because of the center fieldness as opposed to the. But I don't know. Did Tommy win a Gold Glove at first? Or I know in Cleveland he played a lot of first base, so I'm not even sure about that. Let's see if he did. No Gold Gloves for Tommy. So it's just hard for someone to say that someone who I know he's got 5, maybe 10 more years left, but at 297 home runs, he's already had a better career than someone who had 600.
Mm-hmm.
Like 600 isn't a small number. We're not talking 400.
They give you a pat on the back for making the 500 club.
We're talking all-time 600 home runs. So, listen, that one's, I don't know. If your argument's War Hunter and you've never won a playoff game, your argument's War and you've only been to the playoffs once, and that's your overall argument, I don't know. Man, put it this way, I would fear Tommy at bat more than I would Trout. Trout might walk, yeah, but Tommy might hit it.
He'll watch a lot of balls.
Tommy might hit it 500
He'll
feet.
watch a lot of pitches if you're Mike Trout because you look at his strikeout numbers and you look at his walk numbers. He's gonna watch a lot of pitches go by.
I agree. All right. Okay, so let me read. I still ain't read to you what they said about him, have I? All right.
Well, I mean, if all they're going to try and do is convince me that the WAR is the reason, then I already know it's null and void.
It's not even that. It's the way they put it is that it's not even questionable. Like, the way they put both of these is like...
it's undisputed?
So much better.
Ah.
Yeah, that's how it's put. How is it plausible that Trout is already better? The simple part of the answer is that for all our praise of how multidimensional he was, Tommy couldn't really run. Trout has been worth 6 WAR more than Tommy, about a third of Dave Kingman's career value with his base running alone. So in 10 years, he won 6 more games than Tommy did with his base running, is what that just said.
Oh, my God.
And the defensive value of a center fielder, and then it says, and a good one.
Mike Trout's not even the best center fielder in baseball.
No Gold Gloves.
He's not even the best center fielder in today's game of baseball.
I just want to know who does. I'm sorry. Who does the defensive values where catching 2 fly balls in a game is way more valuable than how many putouts you get at first base a game, throws, how many ground balls, covering bunts, knowing all the infield plays, the pickoffs, all that. Like, you're doing so much more. In first base, you stand in center field, you stand there eating sunflower seeds until someone hits one in the air.
Yeah.
Like,
how many times they put a can? That's why a lot of who do you see they mic up during a game?
It ain't the shortstop, I would imagine.
It's the outfielders. They might mic up the first baseman, but it's outfielders.
It says, but while all that's true, and that's the bulk of the difference, it's not entirely satisfied. More than satisfying is this one. Now we go to another number I don't even know what this means. Trout is considerably better as a hitter.
What does considerably better mean?
Considerably better. According to this, it means Trout gets a hit 30% of the time, and Jim Tomey gets a hit 29% of the time.
That's considerable?
So 1% better in hits.
That's considerable.
Tommy has twice as many home runs, But it says considerable because this is the word. This is the one they use. Tommy's career OPS plus was 147, and Trout's worst is 168. Do you know what an OPS plus means? I don't. But
on base percentage plus, whatever plus means.
So it says Tommy's best season by WAR would be Trout's 8th, and that's why he's way better.
They made up these stats.
Yeah. All right, and then let me give you the argument for Larry Walker. Larry Walker deserves every Hall of Fame vote he got, every MVP vote he got, and if anything, the distortive powers of Coors Field cost him credit. But Walker's greatness was in fact more about his all-around abilities.
Okay, yes, right.
Defense, base running, and offense than him being Ted Williams at the plate. During his peak from 95 to 03, he was just 34th in the majors in road OPS, 1 point ahead of Jay Buhner and Ryan Klesko. He was still a very good hitter and a great player, but he didn't hit anywhere near as well as Trout does.
Stop.
I'm going to read that last sentence again. He was a very good hitter and great player, but he didn't hit anywhere near as well as Trout does. Larry Walker's career average, Hunter, is 334. Mike Trout's best year is 326. Can I repeat that again? No, that was in Colorado. I'm sorry. Larry Walker in Colorado, which is the same number of games as Trout, batted 334, and Mike Trout's best ever is 326. And then you type the words considerably better.
No. And what I don't agree with that statement at all either is he said
he don't hit anywhere near as well.
No. It was the part where he was talking about, Larry Walker was just known for his great overall talent. I'm like, well, what the hell else is he? What else do you want to consider a great player as?
Overall,
what? It's like, well, he couldn't quite play defense, but he could hit, so he's great. He could play both sides of the baseball.
Wasn't that what we were talking about?
Isn't that what he said was the reason why Mike Trout was better than Jim Thome?
Because he was all around.
Because he was all around better. And then he said, now Larry Walker is known for being all around great, but we're gonna just put Mike Trout ahead of him anyways because he hits better, even though statistically he doesn't.
7 Gold Gloves. I mean, Trout's got 0. Just by reading this article, somebody somewhere would love to give him a Gold Glove. Just talk about how great he is. And he's not one winning. He's not going to win anymore now. 11th year, 12th year, now you're a Gold Glove center fielder. But just think about the words that are said. This is like watching Hunter. I know we're not a newscast. But this is like watching news on different networks of an event. Mm-hmm. And you see in 2-3 different, totally different reports or ways of analyzing something. Yeah. The word hate. It used to mean I hate something, as in I hate you. I hate the color purple. I hate French fries. I hate it. But if I say Mike Trout's not as good as Albert Pujols, then people say I hate Mike Trout. And that's not what it is. Mm-mm. So the constant changing of words and changing meanings of the English dictionary and what we say and mean is so hard and troubling to keep up with. And then when you get into that, it's just... Man, ain't nobody hating. And what I'm saying is that you guys are being ridiculous when you say, when someone hits 30 points higher than someone else, and you say that they did not hit anywhere near as well as them. 30 points higher.
Everybody that is such a huge Mike Trout fan that pushes him to be probably the great, they always would say he's the greatest baseball player of all time. He could not even hold Andrew Jones's jockstrap. And Andrew Jones is not a Hall of Famer. Andrew Jones is a 5-time All-Star. Mike Trout obviously has got more All-Star appearances because God knows everybody and their brother votes for him to get in because that's all ESPN wants to promote is Mike Trout. Mike Trout ain't got a Gold Glove. Did anybody else know that Andrew Jones got 10?
That was what was weird about Andrew.
Andrew Jones got 10 Gold Gloves.
Everybody's talking about how he struck out too much.
He's a silver slugger.
Do you got his stats?
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm looking at him right now.
Well, how many years did he strike out over 100 times?
Strikeouts over 100 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Is it like
6,
most of his career?
7,
That's
8,
what I figured.
9, 10, 11.
Right.
11 times. And
Trout did it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times in 10 years. What's the most Andrew ever struck out in a season?
the most he ever struck out in a season was 147.
Okay, Trout's did 158 and 184. 184, he led baseball in strikeouts. Has Andrew ever led baseball in strikeouts? He's got a dark bold
Nope.
in strikeouts.
He never led baseball in strikeouts.
What does he lead baseball in? Does he got anything?
He
over there?
led baseball in RBIs in 2005.
That's the National League. Let's quit saying baseball. It is National League is what they led in. Go ahead.
Well, he had 128.
So he's led in RBI.
He led in home runs that season too with 51.
Okay.
Andrew Jones, the next season, had 129 RBIs on 41 home runs. He's also led in plate appearances and at-bats before, but...
Has Andrew Jones ever scored 130 runs?
Has he ever scored 130 runs?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Has he ever had 200 hits?
He had 122 runs in 2000. Has he ever had 200 hits?
Yeah.
No. He came close in 2000 with 199.
Ooh, that's more than Trout's ever had in a season. What's the most doubles he's ever had?
The most doubles he's ever had, 36, it looks like.
Okay. Trout's at 39. Home runs 51. That's more than Trout. RBIs more than Trout. Stolen bases probably Trout's got the most. He had 49 in his second season or rookie year, basically.
Yeah, Andrew didn't. Andrew got big late in his career. He put on some
people
weight.
used to hate on Andrew about is, like I said, the strikeouts. And then if you're going to sit there and turn around and say that, well, damn, Trout led the league in strikeouts. All right, we didn't really want to get on all that big of a tangent today. It was just when the articles come across the ESPN and people were tweeting about it and stuff, you just it's okay to compare folks, guys, but let's be easy on this. Hey, he didn't hit anywhere near as good, and he's 30 points higher. How about this? Larry Walker's career batting average in 17 seasons is 317. Like Trout's best ever is 326. So that was what he averaged in 17 seasons. Just insane. Trout's at 304 now. You think in 10 years you think he's going to up his batting average in 10 years to 320?
No, not unless at some point, I mean, they still say male peak is in your early 30s, so.
Well, Hunter.
Unless that magically happens, I don't see it happening.
Only 13 games, 25 games left in baseball, 25 games left in baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at the standings, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 teams in the American League are sitting with a 90% plus chance of making the playoffs. The 8th team is Toronto at 79. But what's weird about this, Hunter? I know we've only got 25 games left, but the Blue Jays are only 2.5 games in front of Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
And Blue Jays' playoff chances is 79%, and Baltimore's is 2%. Like the drop off is so dramatic, and they're only a game behind them. Like say Detroit is a half a game behind Toronto, and their playoff percentage is 20%. Toronto's 80%.
I don't know. Are they taking into consideration who they have opponent wise coming up?
I think that's part of that. It doesn't exactly explain the percentages, but they've got 7 of 8. In the American League. Now, over in the National League this weekend, we were looking at hoping teams didn't start going under 500, and 2 teams, and they did. The Rockies lost 2 straight, but the Cardinals won 3 straight, so they switched spots, and then the Phillies won a couple, and then they jumped up over 500. So now, Hunter, we have 3, 4, 5, 7 teams in the National League over 500. Percentage-wise, Dodgers, Padres, Braves, and Cubs, they're in the playoffs. Everyone else right now, it's still a crapshoot. Marlins, Phillies, and Mets, 3 games, 3.5 games between all of them. Cardinals, Brewers, and Reds, 3.5 behind them, although the Cardinals beat the Reds like 16-2.
I said the Nationals moving off of Rendon might cost them. The 12 and 21, I mean, they don't look good at all. I know they won the World Series
Did they
last
trade
year.
him, or was that a free agent?
I think they let him walk. They didn't. I don't think they paid him. He went to the Angels. I mean, they're
And
not.
they have 12 wins too. Think about all that. You know, you got Harper, and Philly. He left Washington. Washington lost Rendon and Harper, and
honestly within a year of each other.
And I tell you what, Hunter, we can talk about all these lineups and everything. We talk Trout as good as he is, and Rendon, and you've got Pujols in that lineup, and Shohei Ohtani in that lineup, and Fletcher, and all these guys. But when you look at theirs, this is me being honest with them, their pitching sucks.
Yeah.
The Angels have scored more runs, 18 more runs, in fact, 1 run a game almost, about half a run, maybe a little bit more games, than the Indians. They've scored more runs than the Indians. They've scored more runs than the Twins. They've scored more runs than the Yankees, the Blue Jays, all of those teams with winning records. They've scored more runs than the Marlins. They've scored more runs than the Cubs. The Cubs are 21-14, got more runs than them, Hunter. Of course, they got more than the Cardinals. Cardinals hadn't played 10 less games than them. Cardinals only 13 runs behind the Brewers, and the Brewers have played 10 more games. But yeah, the pitching isn't there, and you can look at one of these win losses all you want, and almost all of them they got more runs they scored than they got runs against. Now that's a simple formula. It's a simple thing to do. You as a Braves fan, you see this.
I mean, I see plus 33, and I know exactly how bad our pitching core really is. So that just tells you how great our offense is.
185.
Ozuna last night had
fourth.
3 home runs.
Y'all are 4th in runs in the National League.
Yeah. It's tough. I don't see anybody catching the Dodgers in differential because that's stupid. They are almost plus 100. Like, they are head and shoulders above the next closest team.
Yeah.
And it's not even close. The next closest team is the Indians at plus 48. Like, are you kidding me? Plus 48 compared to plus 93. Unless somebody's math is just really bad. Good Lord.
All right. Well, there's our baseball updates. People were like, oh, y'all talk about Mike Trout a lot. We didn't bring it up, but we did. I mean, we did on the show. But
people that will sit here and say, why do you talk about Mike Trout so much? It's because we're what's preventing, if any of the younger kids are watching, them from being brainwashed into thinking that Mike Trout is the greatest baseball player of all time. Because they're going to sit there at their house and watch ESPN or Fox Sports, one of the major sports networks. And all they're going to see is Mike Trout, Mike Trout, Mike Trout. And they're not going to look at any other players that came before him or even any other players that are playing in the league right now. Like, who else are we hearing about right now that they might be trying to push forward as a poster boy for the season? I said his name earlier. Tatis Jr. Did you even know anything about the boy last year?
No.
Exactly. And now they're just going to push him forward and keep pushing him as long as he's having success. Do you know who they pushed forward last year, though? And then all of a sudden they took a step back this year? Acuna. They used to push Ronald Acuna. They really did. And then, relevancy biased. Tatis is the new big thing. But they act like, Acuna's still not there. And I know it's just a Braves guy, and obviously I'm a Braves fan, so I'm going to just say that. But even still, I don't hear anything about Cody Bellinger. I don't hear anything about Chris Bryant. I don't hear anything about Yelich. I don't hear anything really about any of the Yankees players right now. I don't hear anything about Judge, Stanton, LeMahieu. I don't even hear much about their pitcher Garrett Cole, who they just broke the bank for. And so it's just one of those things where if we don't try and talk about maybe them not in quite the positive look that everybody would want to talk about Mike Trout, then we wouldn't show love to anybody else. And it would just be like, well, Mike Trout, they should just change the MLB logo to Mike Trout. That's seriously.
So let's go over to
I know what the M stands for in MLB. It's Mike's League Baseball. I don't know. It's Mike's League Baseball.
MLB, and read that backwards.
Nah. Yeah.
This is all right. NBA. Well, the U.S. Open's going on by now. Djokovic is playing, and we'll get JP to give us
He'll give us
an
an update
on this weekend. NBA action, Game 7 tonight. We've got Heat and Bucks at 6:30. In Game 2, Heat lead the series 1-0. I haven't been a big fan / feeling the Bucks. So I think someone's going to sneak around and knock them off. But, you gave me that the Heat could win Game 1, but you wouldn't give me any more after that. How you feeling now about that? Can the Heat actually pull off the full-blown upset of the Bucks?
Yes.
Okay.
I think they can. I think the Heat have got more consistent players than the Bucks do, and what I mean by that is they're going to show up and play really pretty consistently each night. The biggest X factor to me with the Bucks, and I said it at the beginning why I didn't have the Bucks making it past the Eastern Conference Finals, was I don't know if Chris Middleton's going to show up. I know what Giannis is going to do. Giannis is going to go out there, drop at least between 25 to 30 points a game. He's going to get a bunch of rebounds, and he's just going to be so tough to deal with. But who else is there going to show up? Who else is going to show up? Is Bledsoe going to show up? Is George Hill going to show up? Or is Marvin Williams going to actually make an appearance?
Well,
they made
George
a trade
Hill
for
don't even
him.
want to be there.
You've
Never been able to count on Marvin Williams for anything.
and I said that Monday as well. When I said it would not surprise me if Miami steals this game, because I don't know what kind of emotional state Milwaukee's in. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to blame that completely on why they lost, because I'm going to sit here and give a lot of credit to the Miami Heat, and especially a lot of credit to Jimmy Butler. People don't realize, if they don't quite pay attention to, like post-game stats and those little tidbits, Jimmy Butler just joined Dwayne Wade and LeBron James as the only other Miami Heat player to score 40 points in a playoff game. All right, so Jimmy Butler went off, and he really took it to them, and it's so much fun to watch Jimmy Butler actually go out there and dominate, because he kind of got looked over as the guy that was supposed to come in, step in, and take over the Bulls team when Derrick Rose had all those knee injuries, and the team was no longer Derrick Rose's. It was supposed to be Jimmy Butler's. Yeah. He was known for playing hard-nosed defense, and his offense was limited, but he could get to the rack. Since then, his game has really evolved. He still cannot shoot from the three-point line, but the other night, everything that he was jacking up was going down.
Yeah,
He was just in his zone. Defensively, he can match up with Chris Middleton, and Chris Middleton does not want any piece of Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler is going to make Chris Middleton's life hell throughout this whole series. And that's what I've been told all year, is that Chris Middleton is supposed to be the second star on this Milwaukee's Bucks team. Well, if you take him out and he's non-existent, and Giannis can't go out here and just impose his will and drop 30 because they've got Bam, who's just as athletic and can throw him on Giannis, this is going to just come down to other role players versus Heat, Bucks role players versus Heat role players. And I think the Heat role players will show up more consistently than the Bucks. So could the Heat win this series? Yes. I feel more confident about saying that after what I saw Monday. Do I think they will? I don't.
See,
I would love to be wrong. I would love to be wrong and see Miami knock off the Bucks. But I think the Bucks, they're going to wake up, and I don't see them reverse sweeping this. They're not just going to win 4 in a row. I could see it going 5 or 6.
Any one of the
at least 6.
Any one of the Eastern Conference teams could win it, and I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, not win it, but make the finals.
Make the finals.
Make the finals. Because right at this point, I think all 4 are the same. I don't think, you've got Giannis, but who else do you have?
Right.
In Boston, you've got your 3-headed guards, but if they miss threes or get beat up on the boards, they're easily beatable. Just because they're up 2-0 on Toronto, let's not bury Nick Nurse yet.
I'm not.
If they win this game 3, of course, tomorrow, it will have a series, or maybe we should. As far as Miami, like I said, doesn't Miami have just the same that Milwaukee does, basically? Is they got one star that can get you 25, 30 every night, and then 40 if you need it, and then everybody else, it just depends who shows up. Like so to me, it's almost like the Jazz Nuggets series where everybody kind of matches up evenly.
This is who else is going to show up
and
tonight.
think about what happened. We had a 2-point Game 7 final.
Yeah, and it was low scoring.
The score was 80-70. We had
78.
a team win Game 7 in today's era of basketball, where teams the other day, the Rockets the other day scored 155 points, 154.
It's crazy.
And they just won with 80 in a game. You know, if they had Bol in there, they would have won by 15.
Okay.
But we'll talk about that later.
Sure. Okay.
But yet, to me in the East Hunter, I ain't about anybody. The other game tonight, OKC and Houston. What you got? 5.5 are the Rockets favored by the way.
Oh, I said when they announced Russell Westbrook was to be coming back, it could be a good or a bad thing for Houston. And to me, I think he showed up in Game 5, and he did what they needed to do, and they won Game 5.
Well, what's up?
And then Game 6 happened, and he absolutely crapped the bed. And he was probably one of the main reasons that they lost that ball game.
Yeah.
So Russell Westbrook right now is a double-edged sword, and just which side are you going to grab? You going to grab the good side or the bad side? I don't know. Is he going to shoot you into the game? He's
Aren't
going to
both
shoot
sides
you out
bad
the
on a
game.
double-edged sword?
Yeah, I guess depending on which way you're swinging it. Are you swinging it to your opponent, or are you swinging it accidentally at one of your buddies? You know? I don't know. He can win you games, he can lose you games. That's what I said about Russell Westbrook when he was coming back. And tonight, talent-wise, Houston should win. Mm-hmm. They are more talented than the Thunder. Execution-wise, the Thunder, I think, can win. Now, I'm going to lean with the Thunder. I had the Thunder, Tom and Terry on our Saturday show, they had the Rockets winning this series. I had the Thunder just because I thought the Thunder would mesh better. I think they'd have better team chemistry because, there are the problems that everybody runs into. Any coach, whether it's D'Antoni or whoever takes over the Rockets, it's going to be who's going to have the ball in their hands. It's going to be James Harden or is it going to be Russell Westbrook? Well, they're both so ball dominant.
Tomorrow it's Raptors and Celtics at 6:30. Hunter, when that game's over, that would be 3 games into a series.
And the Lakers haven't even played one.
And the Nuggets and Clippers hadn't even played one yet after that game. So they will.
This is so
the
lopsided.
Raptors and Celtics will have played 3 games in the Western Conference semifinals. Haven't even started.
I remember what I said too Monday. The team that had the most rest was the Miami Heat.
Yeah.
Because their series, since they had swept it, it was already done.
And then they got 3 extra days.
And they got 3 extra days during the protest. So they were the most rested team. And Milwaukee, with the emotions being high, they still had to play. So maybe that played into it as well, why Miami stole the first one from Miami. The Raptors and Celtics game, this is what troubles you if you're rooting for the Raptors, though. Kemba Walker had an awful game last night, and the Celtics still won. They still won. And
by 3.
It might have been by 3, but he still had a bad game.
You know what's killing him?
Nobody else is showing up.
No, Marcus Smart.
Oh, for some reason he's flipped on a switch and decided to go beast mode.
He made 5 threes in game 1, and I asked you on Monday, is he gonna make 5 threes again? You said no.
And
he
guess
made
what?
5 in the 4th quarter.
Hey.
He made 5 in the 4th quarter.
If I would have asked you the same exact question, you would have said no too.
How does that hell no?
There's no way.
He made 6 threes, Tatum 4, Brown 3. They were 15 of 38 from 3 at 39%. Now let me read you Toronto's dodos. They were 11 of 40 from 3. Van Vliet went 3 of 12. I mean, Hunter, if you lose by 3.
And he still had 19.
If you lose by 3 and you miss 29 3-pointers.
I'm telling you.
I'm not saying knock down one of them damn things, but come on.
That's
you can't
why,
make 12?
That's why I could not coach at an NBA level, because every time they would come down, like, they get a rebound, miss a 3, get another rebound, miss a 3. By the 3rd time they miss that damn 3, I'm going to look at him and say, can we not work the ball in the paint? Do we have to sit here and just chuck them up until one makes it, and then you're like, oh, I'm out my slump?
The Raptors took 14 more shots than the Celtics and lost by 3. So, I just, listen, bad shooting. Marcus, listen,
this is just the worst time for you to say, okay, we're going to have some bad nights.
Think about it. You missed 29 threes, and Marcus Smart made 6. So, yes, you got beat. Yes, you're down 2-0. But come on. How many games are we missing 29 and Marcus Smart? He's hit 11 threes in 2 games. And how many times is he going to hit 6? So I don't know if I'm that worried.
He hit 6 threes and was only +1. Because he had 5 turnovers. But nobody on the bench even played well for the Celtics either. They only got 13 total points off their bench.
I had to go down the hall for a sec. Hunter, you want to still talk about that or start working on
I'll go
Jazz
ahead.
Nuggets Game 7?
I'll talk about I'll finish what I thought about the Boston-Toronto game the other night. Jason Tatum is a stud. Jason Tatum is just a stud. He had 34 and was +5, and he had 4 turnovers, but 8 rebounds, 6 assists. He was doing it all. Had a steal. And I know that the stat line says Kemba Walker had 17 and Jaylen Brown had 16, but that's what I meant by if you're the Raptors, that should be troublesome because all 3 of them easily could get in total 60 to 65 points, and they didn't get it at all, and you still lost. You didn't get anything if you're the Raptors out of your other core players. I mean, they play good, but Marc Gasol, the big man down low, who's probably, if you had to do, how I like to do it, I get my piece of paper out, and we match up the positions. If we're talking the center position, Celtic center, Toronto center, Marc Gasol should be winning this matchup every time. He only had 6. I'm looking here, and, Theis had 3. But when Williams came in off the bench, that's weird. I can't just say Williams. There are 2 Williams that came in off the bench. I'm talking about, which one is this? Is this Robert Williams? Yeah, Robert Williams III. Center. He came off the bench. He had 11, so he had more points than your starting center had. Serge Ibaka came in for the Toronto Raptors and was a good surge off the bench. He had 17. I'd start him this next game. Because you're, like we said, when we reference last night's Game 7 between Denver and Utah, you had a game that went 78-80. That game is a low-scoring game for an NBA playoff game. I'm looking at this game 102-99. I still think that's low-scoring for today's NBA scoring. So if you're the Raptors, you just need points. You just need points at this point. You need guys that can go in and get you buckets. How are you going to, and how do you expect to win? Seriously, how do you expect to win if you can't hold Jason Tatum to under 30? At least under 20. He had 34. The highest scoring player wasn't even Siakam. It was OG Anunoby with 20 points for the Raptors. The core players for Toronto need to step up in the next game. That'll be tomorrow night. So they need to step up because if Boston wins this next game, I'd write off the Raptors. I have Boston in the finals, so this is playing out exactly how I thought it was going to be. I thought Boston, like man for man, just stacking them up, lining up next to each other. I just thought they had more firepower, and that's just kind of what it did. I know it was only a 3-point game this time, but they got blown out by like 20 in the first game.
None of us are Nostradamus. None of us are
No.
Are soothsayers or Jesus or any other
Fortune teller.
Folks like that.
Yeah.
I picked the Nuggets to beat the Raptors in the finals. It's like I said, it's hard to see. I picked the Celtics to lose because I don't trust Kemba Walker, and if Marcus Smart don't hit 6 threes last night, the series is 1-1, and if the Raptors don't miss 29 threes, the series is 1-1. I picked the Nuggets because after watching the preseason, or whatever you want to call it,
The bubble.
I think their starting lineup is solid. I just thought they had a weak bench. I didn't think they had they don't have the superstar to win it, but I thought they were the most solid team. Once I saw before the season started, I said Hornets pick bowl. Hornets pick bowl. And then he got some smell in the regular season, I guess what you call it, and he balled out. And I picked them thinking that he would be coming off the bench 20 minutes a game, block a couple shots, grab a couple rebounds, nail a couple threes. Hell, Hunter, he could have guarded Joe Ingles that whole series every minute. Like Joe Ingles, is he gonna blow by him?
God, yeah, because Joe Ingles only had 7 points
That's what I'm saying. Like
in the final game.
so, after watching that series, with giving the Jazz all the credit I can, hell, they were up 3-1. The coach for Denver, I was gonna fire after the series, and I still probably would. How many NBA coaches have you ever seen on the sidelines with their hands over their faces? Like, this is a professional coach, and I don't like it's almost like Steve Clifford with his offensive. Just the fact Bo not getting to play is just insanely silly. Let me go looking at the last game. It's hard to win or down on 2 guys, Hunter. And if one of them don't have, you got to get your 60 points from your 2 guys. Is the best way I can put that.
Neither team did.
And it was 80.
Neither one of them did. Neither one of them did.
Yeah, and so for the Nuggets, Hunter, Paul Millsap, how does he earn? Not only how does he earn minutes every game, he earns starter.
Yeah, he starts
2
the game.
points, 14 minutes. He used to be a good basketball player. Jeremy Grant, Hunter, 3 points in 35. If I looked at this box score, there's no way this team wins, and they damn won the game. Jokic with 30. Murray goes 7 of 21, 1 for 6 from threes. Here's the threes. Listen to this. This is the one I was remembering. 1 for 3, 1 for 4, 1 for 6, 1 for 3, 1 for 5, 1 for 5, and the starting center made the most threes with 2.
2 for 5. Jokic.
The Joker went 2 for 5 as a team, Hunter. 8 of 31 from 3. You think that's bad? The Jazz were 8 of 34.
That's bad. That's bad. And especially when you're supposed to have a sharpshooter in Joe Ingles, and he only goes 1 for 5 from the 3-point line.
Their 3-point shooters went 1 for 4, 1 for 6, 1 for 5, 1 for 5, 2 for 4, and 2 for 8 from Donovan Mitchell.
I'll say this, though. I said it, and I'm going to stick by it. This team, if you're the Nuggets, they will go as Jamal Murray goes. And this game was so close, and look why. You think he's going to go 1 for 6 from the 3-point line every game?
He might against the Clippers.
Listen,
I got 3 people.
Listen, I'm saying this, though. That's why I had the Clippers advancing over whichever team they played here.
I had Michael Porter getting 15 again. I had this, Hunter. If I'm looking at this team, and I'm coaching, this is how I would go. I would say, well, Jokic will give me 25. Murray will give me 25. There's 50. Porter's going to get me 15. There's 65. Bowles going to give me 10, maybe 15. There's 75. And then work from that, because the other guys suck. Like, the other guys, Torrey Craig
Gary Harris
sucks.
is not bad, but I think he's still injured.
He done shit yet.
He hasn't. He's only played 2 games, but he hasn't done anything. I think he's still trying to work himself back in he's 26 minutes. Good God.
Yeah, he got 26 minutes, went 1 for 9. Like, if you're going to play him 26 minutes, why aren't you starting him?
Why do you got Paul Millsap in the starting lineup running 14 minutes?
Or Monte Morris? Like,
why would you not put Michael Porter Jr. in there for more? You put Millsap's minutes with Porter minutes, and he's getting starter-type minutes, and I guarantee he scores you more than 10 points.
You got 3 starters in there that combined got 12 points.
And Porter Jr. on the bench got you 10.
Are you telling me that...
With Craig on the bench as well, they got 17 combined. So they were more than 3 of your starters.
You can say whatever you want about Bol, but if he gets 35 minutes like Jeremy Grant did, he's getting more than 3 points.
I don't know, Kevin. I just don't know, but I will say this.
He's getting more than 3.
Nuggets, congratulations. This series was fun to watch when it was the battle between Jamal Murray and Donovan Mitchell. This next series is not going to be fun to watch.
So, Hunter,
I think the Clippers can manhandle them. I do. If Paul George
I don't
shows
think the Clippers
up,
can guard Jokic.
They might not
But
guard
they
Jokic.
they can guard Murray.
They can guard Jamal Murray and anybody else.
They don't have to guard anybody else.
No, that's what
Who do they have to guard?
I know. I'm
It's
just
so
saying.
shitty. It's so
I'm
terrible.
just saying you could technically double team Jamal Murray. Let Jokic get what he wants, because I'm looking here.
Wouldn't you throw
I
10
don't know.
defenders
I don't know anybody defensively on this Nuggets team, because what was the one thing going into the playoffs that everybody said they didn't do? They don't play defense. They're not stopping Kawhi. They might not stop Paul George. They're not going to stop Trez. They're not going to stop Lou Williams. I mean, for superstars, what do you consider stop? If they still get 20 points?
Hey, you said the Nuggets might not play defense. They just held an opponent to 78 points.
No, the Jazz held themselves to
No,
78 points.
That's not how it goes. Hunter.
The Jazz held themselves to 78 points,
No.
just like the Nuggets held themselves to 80 points.
No, that's not
This is
how
what
it
happens when you can't shoot for shit.
We did get a comment, Hunter, and the answer is no. I think it's just, I can't see it from across the room. It's Tamir.
Yeah.
To her. Want to know if he subscribes to our channel, could we get him a copy of NBA 2K21?
I can't even do that, buddy.
The answer is no.
I'm sorry. We can't do that. It'd be nice. We're not that big. We're not like.
And then we got another comment for this one's for Hunter, not for me.
Uh-huh.
I heard a rumor that football player Leo Messi is set to sign for one of the teams in MLS. You know what I heard? I was just saying. You know what I heard?
You know what I heard? If that's the case,
That should be a. We should do a segment like that, Hunter.
you know what I heard?
You know what I heard, and we just make up random bullshit.
Probably.
You know what I mean?
I was going to say, I wouldn't be surprised if that was just made up bullshit. Because I don't know anybody
That said
in the
that.
United States, at least in MLS, that would be comfortable putting that kind of money out there.
Yeah.
I don't see that at all. Nobody's going to do that. The amount of money that a superstar... Listen, I know it's not going to be Charlotte. It would have to be one of the LA teams if they even did throw up the money for that. But they're not doing it. Not that kind of money. Not for a guy that is still in his prime and wants to
Tepper
win.
just saved $15 million on not re-signing Cam.
Oh, you think Messi wants just $15 million?
No, I didn't say that. But that's $15 million towards.
But we've said this before. Charlotte MLS team is not starting till 2022. He's not waiting a season. He wants to go and play probably for a winner. So I appreciate that. I appreciate that little I heard. But
Who's Neymar?
Neymar is
that soccer?
Yes, it's a soccer
Says he
player.
tests positive
Yes.
for something. What did he test positive
The
for?
coronavirus.
Okay.
He tested positive for the coronavirus after a weekend out at some city. He plays in Paris.
Well, if that's his only symptom, Hunter, he's got a 6% chance of not making it.
Yeah, it's tough. Tough.
If that's his only sin. Or no, that's only people that, whatever. Jordan is buying DraftKings, part of DraftKings. You see
Yeah,
that?
I saw that. He wants to be a part of their advisory team.
Gambler's going to gamble, Hunter.
I'm telling you,
Gambler.
I read that and I thought it was wild.
Gambler's gonna gamble.
I mean, it didn't surprise me, but oof.
Is that all you got on that?
Gambler's gonna gamble. I mean, what does Tom like to say? Degenerate gambling.
Oh, he said, of course, talking about the Southerners, he said Southerners will gamble on anything. Just proof.
Tom,
They will.
that is so stereotypical. How could you?
Well, not everybody, of course, but, you know, the media that we live in today is in an uproar over Kirk Cousins.
They
Said if he gets the corona, if he dies and dies, he kind of have peace. I'll kind of have peace about that. And you know, a lot of people think the same way, Hunter.
see, in exchange for becoming a special advisor to the sports betting and fantasy team league, like he wants in.
Yeah,
he wants something. But going back to the Kirk Cousins thing, I was driving this way to be here, and I was listening because Colin's off air, so Doug Gottlieb was on there, and he said, and I'm not like quoting like what he said about the topic, but the way he was foreshadowing he was going to talk about the topic. He said everybody's in all up in arms over this Kirk Cousins comment, and they're literally only looking at like half the comment.
mm-hmm.
They're only looking at the part where
that's the only thing we ever.
Yeah,
did.
yeah. And I agreed with Doug Gottlieb 100%. It was like they didn't look at the full context of his comment. They're just looking at him saying, "If I die, I die."
I was watching Marcellus Wiley the other day, and he said the exact words. He said, "Please do not cut out this next sentence when you do the clips."
Yeah,
yeah. He knew how people do.
And
they'll cut
and
out-
if
cut out
I,
that part.
you know, Kirk Cousins, he said, like, you read the whole quote, and essentially he said, you know, he's not trying to step on the toes of anybody, you know, that obviously has thoughts towards the coronavirus, that might have a fear of the coronavirus. But for those, like, who was it? I saw Colin quote the tweet, and he said, well, you know, for a guy that people are hating on Kirk Cousins for what he said, but a guy that tries to dodge like 325 to 375 pound men trying to take him down all the time, he said catching the coronavirus isn't really like a threat to him.
Yeah.
And to me, I'm like, look, and I know we're not faith based, but like Kirk Cousins is a huge faith based man,
Right.
So and he knows, just like a lot of the people do in the Christian organization, and most people that are religious in general, is like, if you believe in your faith, like whether you die or not, hey, I'm going to a better place. So that could have been as well where that stemmed from.
I think that is kind of
You know, he was just like, look, I accept
the
my fate.
position he was taking it. And then, like I asked Tom a couple weeks ago, I was like, when did we start being immortal? When did we start? Like,
we got to live to we're 100.
Like, do you tell a skydiver to put a mask on? You know what I mean? Like when Jimmy Johnson crawled in his race car at 200 miles per hour, y'all's concern was
Is he wearing the
that
mask?
he had corona and he was wearing a mask. Also, not only did he miss the race for Corona, Hunter, and then he got docked those points, he was leading a race and wrecked in the lead on the final lap of a stage. That would have been 10 points. That would have put him in.
Yeah.
Even if he would have came in fifth, if he would have wrecked his car and finished that lap, he would have got the points to be in.
It's just tough how the media, and obviously, you know, we work in it. We've studied it. We see the trends. It is, they will cut out to make it and twist it into the narrative they want it to be.
Right. That's what
And
they want.
I don't know if they did it on purpose, but it's almost like they're trying to push Kirk Cousins as like insensitive, because he's just like, if I die, I die. So what?
Well, who owns ESPN?
Was it ESPN that put out the report first? Because where I first
don't
saw,
know.
I thought I first saw Bleacher Report put it out.
He was. I'm not sure about that.
But even then, to me, it's like, this shouldn't even really be a story. This is just what one guy said on it, you know, and he just so happens to be an NFL quarterback.
He said it on the Kyle Brandt podcast.
Like, how many people today walking around outside? Because, ladies and gentlemen, there are a ton of people that are sick and tired of this shit. I hate to just tell you this. There are. So how many of them can you walk up to and they'll probably be like, you know what? If I die, I die. If I get it, you don't know how many people I've walked up to and we just are talking about it, and and they're just like, you know what? If I get it, I get it. The numbers show that if I get it, I'm gonna be okay. I'm just probably gonna be sick for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Like the numbers are showing, I'm gonna be okay.
Yeah.
Or there's a high possibility, a high percentage, I'm going to be okay. So where I think they maybe should not have, where I think Kirk Cousins could have done better in that quote is, instead of saying, if I die, I die, maybe saying, if I get it, I get it. Yeah. You know, just being like,
of course, the Rocky meme started coming out.
Yeah, Drogo.
For Drago,
Yeah.
whatever you want.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go down we're going to go through some of the NFL teams, some announcements.
I'm happy about one announcement.
What's that?
Ron Rivera has come out and said that Dwayne Haskins is the starting quarterback for the Washington Redskins Week 1.
That is true.
Thank God. And
Tyrod Taylor
yes.
has been named the starter in San Diego.
Not surprised by that.
Kamara is returning to practice today, so his holdout, whatever it was, didn't
Well, you
last
saw
long.
what started floating around yesterday. The Saints started to be open to trade Kamara.
We'll trade your ass.
I wish. Now I'm gonna be honest. I wish more teams would kind of play that card, because
Most teams do, though. Really,
they do. But you do have those moments where, like the Zeke holdout and the Dak thing, where they were thinking he was going to hold out. It was like, well, look, we'll just get something for you then. If we don't want to give you this money, I've always had a problem when people, or at least not people, when players have these contracts and they come up to you a 2 to sometimes a year and a half early and say, I'm ready for my new deal. It's like, whoa. What was the point of us even making this 3 to 4 year contract to begin with if you don't honor it? I can't remember what analyst said it. I think he was an ex-coach or an ex-GM personnel guy up in the offices of an NFL team. He said, if teams don't nip that in the bud early, it's just going to be a precedent where guys will always just be like, oh, well, I got like 2 years left, but hey, I think I need more money. So
what if they only
nix
did deals or had a rule? I know everybody would have to agree on it.
1 year deals?
1, 2, and 7.
You're here for a short time or you're locked in.
Right.
Okay.
Some people need 2 years guaranteed. You know, you get a veteran, we'll give you a 2
Yeah,
year
well,
deal.
I think they got still like veteran minimums where it's like a year for like a milli.
You got half the leagues on 1 year deals anyway.
Yeah.
So in most contracts are a year-to-year basis so why even go through the facade of acting like, the 3, the 4 year deals, the 7 year deals are worth anything?
Not everybody's Patrick Mahomes getting a 10-year deal.
Some guys if you want to give 7 years to a quarterback or something like that, I understand the thought process. You want to lock a guy in.
Especially if he's a once in a generation, we're not getting another one.
But wouldn't you say that 90 to 95% of your roster doesn't need to be on anything more than a 2 year deal?
Maybe. Okay, so the only thing the
biggest thing they don't want is just guys leaving freely all the time. So what they do is they sign them to a 4 year deal.
We're gonna get what we can out of you.
We want to get rid of you when we want to get rid of you.
We'll either release, the same thing that the Jaguars just did with Fournette.
Yeah, they don't.
We couldn't move you for anything, so we're just gonna let you go on our own terms. Well, now he's filed a grievance to get like the $4 million that is still owed to him. I don't blame him. I mean, if it's your money, if I'm not mistaken, I think Todd Gurley is still owed money by the Rams.
Yeah.
So if they owe you money, I don't blame you. For me, the quarterback is essential. So that would be the one that I'm like, yes, absolutely. That you could have sometimes a 10+ year deal if he is the one. If not, maybe 5 to 6 years. And then you're trying to find somebody in between if you're not sold on him. The second maybe that I would have for a long-term deal would be the left tackle, because he's protecting that quarterback. Unless he's got injuries pop up. But other than that, that's still at least a 5 to 6 year deal. And then maybe, because there's your quarterback, there's the guy that makes the engine run. There's the guy that protects the engine. And then there's the guy that stops the other team's engine. I would get a long-term pass rusher.
Yeah.
And that would be like a 5 to 6 year deal. Other than that, everybody else is interchangeable.
1, 2, 7. All right. Here are roster predictions / position battles, things like that. Maybe that we
for the
should look at
53-man roster
for some teams. For the Redskins, it says they'll keep 2 quarterbacks, Haskins and Allen. It means Alex Smith's comeback falls short, at least for the final roster cuts. There hasn't been enough time to prove he could play in a game if needed. Smith would have been helped by the preseason and more 11-on-11 work. They may put him on injured reserve.
I would do that.
Or I would just let him go. Like, if you don't want him, what's the point of keeping if you don't want him? You've already got Kyle Allen and Haskins.
Well, we could do this with Alex Smith. I would do 2 things. I would either put him on IR if he wants to stay and wants to try and prove himself that he can come back. Or I would do this. Say, look, we have Kyle and we have Dwayne here.
Yeah.
But what we're going to do is we're going to offer you a front office job. Or we're going to offer you a coaching position. But if you feel like you can still play, here's the door.
That's what I was about to say. Release me.
That's if he thinks that he can do it. If he thinks he's got a better opportunity,
came back. Huh?
I know, but if he thinks there's a better opportunity that he's legitimate, like someone is legitimately going to give him a chance, because there are teams out there that have to look at that injury and what he went through, and they're going to be like, do we even lay a hand on him? For God's sakes, they didn't even know they were going to draft Tua because he had a hip injury that didn't even threaten his life.
Well, Miami should call Alex Smith in.
I'm just saying. So the Alex Smith would have to think that. He's like, okay, I am 30+ years old. I'm coming off of a substantial leg injury that almost cost me in my life. I'm like 15, 16 surgeries deep. Is somebody going to give me an opportunity, or is the best opportunity I'm going to have being able to be a part of this coaching staff or have a front office position?
Oh, he can get another coaching staff somewhere else. How about this? Would you want to be a part of the Redskins front office? That's another question.
I hear it's pretty fun right now. So.
Well, yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
Lap dances for everybody. I want to be a part of that front office.
Oh, man.
But, yeah.
I don't know. I feel like the culture's changing a little bit right now.
Let him go. Well, Rivera's got cancer. Did you see that?
Yes, I know that.
So
yeah, he's fighting that.
you guys have got some things to deal with up there. Hope Rivera can get everything
Absolutely.
settled. Cowboys positions. Get this. They're only going to keep 2 running backs.
Probably him and Zeke and Tony Pollard.
Right. But folks from our area will recognize this name when I say it out loud. On the practice squad, and they can bring up. It says it's easier to bring them up. Rico Dowdle. Do you know that name? Do you remember that name?
I know the name as I know that name. I don't know what context it has for this area.
Okay. It may have been before you started working. What, 2-3 years ago?
I think I'm going on at least year 3.
It's probably 5 years since Dowdle was there. He was at AC Reynolds.
Okay.
He was the quarterback at AC Reynolds. He put 40 points on a Shelby defense. Not throwing it.
Running.
Yes. Now you tell me, Hunter.
I guess he can run.
How good of a runner
I guess he can
is
run.
this kid if he's out there putting, it might have been 38, but 30, 40 points on a Shelby defense. The kid can run. He can play. He was a running back at South Carolina. Is where he ended up at.
I think that's where I remember the name from. Him at the college level.
I've never seen he's had the best game against Shelby I've ever seen as an individual. I'll say that. Burn, the teams that have upset Shelby or beat them, it's been a team effort. It's not been like, man, that dude, they just couldn't do nothing with him.
Yeah.
That kid, they didn't beat Shelby that year. It was like a 41-28 game, but damn, he put, I was like 270 rushing yards on him or something like that from the quarterback position. Like he went Caleb Farley on him.
Okay.
And so Cowboys got him there in camp. I like Rico Dowdle. It's just I remember seeing him play, and I was amazed. Kid, if you can run on Shelby, you can run on about anybody. Let me go through any of these other teams. The Browns. Let's talk about Cleveland. The secondary has been decimated by injuries. Kevin Johnson lacerated a liver. Delpit ruptured his Achilles.
That hurts too, man. That was a steal. They got him in the second round because nobody took him in the first round because he didn't like to tackle. Okay, so what? All right, the guy's a ball hawk out of LSU. That is DBU for a reason, all right? He's a ball hawk, but...
Mitchell with a knee, Greedy Williams with a hurt shoulder, MJ Stewart with a hamstring are all missing time as well. A troubling situation with less than 2 weeks before the season starts. The Browns basically have no...
The only one they get to lean on right now is Denzel Ward, unless he's still hurt. That's tough. That's so tough. If you don't have a secondary, who do they play week 1? Did it say?
Baltimore.
Shit, they're done.
They don't need them. They don't need a secondary against Baltimore.
Baltimore won't come out and say how much they're going to let Lamar Jackson run this year.
They don't need a secondary.
He might be throwing the ball. Hey,
go ahead. I'm sure that go ahead.
Dez was working out with Baltimore. Who knows?
Yeah, and they didn't want him. That's how bad that will be. Steelers, Phillip Rivers.
What about the home team right down the street? What are the Panthers going to do?
We'll get.
I'm pretty sure I just read somewhere too that I think their tight end just got hurt. Like he's getting X-rays or something.
We'll go through the NFC South. This is our Panthers country. Falcons will keep 3 tight ends, including Hayden Hurst, 260-pound tight end.
Good God,
big old boy. Panthers look for 7 wide receivers to start the season.
They signed what's his name from the XFL. Played with PJ Walker, who they have as well on their roster. Why can I not think his name? He led the XFL in receiving.
Is that Pharaoh Cooper?
No, not Pharaoh Cooper.
Well, they've got DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, Curtis Samuel, and Pharaoh Cooper with quarterback Teddy Bridgewater. We'll click on that in just a second. Tampa Bay, Tom Brady will, of course, start for the Bucs. Blaine Gabbert is the backup.
That's a hell of a drop-off.
Should Tampa bring in Alex Smith?
If we let him walk, yes, absolutely.
Ryan Griffin will serve as the 3rd quarterback in
I don't even know who that is.
Tampa. You know, in retrospect, Hunter, could the Bucs have not have just benched Jameis and kept him around?
Yeah.
To learn from Brady?
Yes.
For the amount that, what did he sign with, $1 million or $2 million in New Orleans?
He signed for like $1 million. That's it.
So to me, would you rather pay Jameis $1 million and set him, or put in Blaine Gabbert or Ryan Griffin? And the thing is, Jameis, where'd he go? He went to a division rival to back up their 40-year-old quarterback.
And get that bullshit. I want you to think about that too. If I was Alvin Kamara and I'm walking through there today for practice and I look at Taysom Hill, I'm socking him in the mouth. Be like,
What'd
look,
he do?
you're like the third string quarterback and they paid you before they'll pay me.
Now, that's true, but why would you be mad at Taysom for?
Cam Phillips, that's his name.
Okay.
Cam Phillips was the man from the XFL, led the XFL in receiving yards. He's with the Carolina Panthers now.
Okay, this is just they just have nothing to talk about with the Saints. The Mike Triplett who wrote this article. I'm gonna read this out loud and see if it makes any sense.
Okay.
Wide receiver is the toughest position to handicap once you get past Michael Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders, Traquan Smith, and Deontay Harris. Well, how much handicap are you doing after 4 wide receivers?
Well, they only need the top 2 they have right there in Emmanuel Sanders and Michael Thomas. You line them up on the same side, and that cornerback and whoever is going to have to cover Emmanuel Sanders is going to have a hell of a time.
But the shit, like he wasted the time to write.
He did
about.
waste the time. Now, I will say this.
I don't know what's going to happen after the first 4 guys.
I can't necessarily say, though, that New Orleans is going to be as dangerous as they were last year, and they still lost.
As long as they have Kamara, the offense will be the same.
It did look different when he was down with injury.
Right. It's a
Kamara is to this team what Christian McCaffrey is to the Panthers, and nobody will admit it.
Here's why I would say Kamara is a little more. I know Christian's got more rushing yards, but they use the Panthers are like, let's give McCaffrey the ball every damn play almost.
Yeah, he's been that
Kamara
offense.
is used as for Breeze, and this is what I keep saying about McCaffrey, the swing pass. No matter how you design it, it's still almost a last resort type thing.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's difficult to get out there on a wide receiver or on a running back that's already running forward.
To be able to catch a football, running back is a skill, and a lot of them do not have it. I will say that. But Kamara is key in that offense, Hunter, to where he hasn't had a tight end as his. Every quarterback has an escape hatch. Is what is kind of what I'm getting at. So the Panthers have used their offense the past few years has been tight end or running back, which
Greg
is usually,
Olsen or Christian
which
McCaffrey.
is usually your 2 escape hatches,
Mhm.
as opposed to going to your weapons. So they've got Thomas and Sanders. That's who Breeze is looking at.
I'm pretty sure they still have Jared Cook at their wide receiver position too. Who's really good at wide receiver.
If Jameis ever has to come in, he ain't gonna throw it to Kamara. He's throwing it deep to the other.
He's gonna look at
Mike. Throw it to
they're
the
gonna
other
get
team.
in the huddle. He's gonna call a play and he's gonna say, he's gonna grab Michael Thomas by the face mask, and be like, "Hey, go deep,
Yeah, I know. What's he gonna call?
go deep."
Go some.
Just, I'm gonna look at you. I'm gonna give you a nod. That's the go route, and we're gonna get the dub. He's gonna lick his fingers again.
Depth charts for all 32 teams. I don't know if we care about
Apparently,
that.
up in Cincinnati, they love what they're seeing out of Joe Burrow. He is, in fact, the Week 1 starter. So, he's going to be thrown to the fire.
Well, he better be if you cut Andy Dalton and.
I know. I can't remember who their backup was. I think they cut him, too. No, it's Ryan Finley, who they literally drafted the year before.
Okay.
From NC State. Yeah.
Jeez. All right, here's your preseason power rankings. Folks, Saturday morning, we're going to do our predictions. We're going to pick our playoff teams again. I got to redo this board because 7 teams make the playoffs now, 100 instead of 6. So that's good.
That is this year, in fact.
Yeah. It is this year, in fact. So we got to go over that. We'll do that Saturday, folks. Saturday morning, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. We're going to have our picks, predictions. I'm going to give you my NFL predictions of the year, went by wins for each team. Hunter, Tom, and Terry will have their playoff teams together. Here's your power rankings, Hunter. Number 1, Kansas City. Number 2, Baltimore. Number 3, San Francisco.
Mm-hmm. I could have guessed those.
Who's 4? Mister, I can guess.
Is it Tampa Bay?
No.
Or is it New Orleans?
Tampa's 6. New Orleans is 4.
Okay.
So you're in the ballpark.
I knew it was one of those two.
Who's 5 and 7?
I'm trying to think of playoff teams from last year.
5 is the Seahawks.
Okay.
7 Packers. 8 Cowboys. 9 Titans. 10 Vikings. 11 Bills. 12 Eagles. 13 Steelers. 14 Colts, 15 Patriots. It's got people on hot seats this year. It says Sony Michel. You know, if you're going to put the Patriots running back as on the hot seat, that's just a waste of paper because they change every year.
I'm about to say, what are you talking about? They're going to draft another one in like the 5th round this year. Like, who cares? They're all on hot seats in New England.
Texans 16th. They open up the season next week.
They
next
do.
Thursday night.
Thursday.
In Kansas City. Rams 17, Falcons 18, Cleveland Browns sitting at 20. And how does this make any sense, Hunter? We look for quarterbacks all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you get one, you're not happy that they're not Tom Brady. Like, so what's the Browns? This says, who's on the hot seat? Baker Mayfield. How? Who are they replacing him with?
Are we going to draft another one?
That's what I'm saying. Like, what's the plan? What hot seat are we on with which is his third coach in 3 years?
Right.
How is anything that happened last year his fault with a guy who's never been a head coach of anything?
Hot seat should be Odell Beckham.
Shit. Just listen.
Is he going to perform this year? Is he going to want out halfway through the season? You never know because he's a diva.
You force Eli Manning out.
He's fantastic, but he's a diva.
You force Romo out. You don't force quarterbacks out and then search for them for 20 years. Like, these organizations will search for a quarterback forever and ever and ever and be like, then not be happy with the ones that they got. If your quarterback Kirk Cousins, if your quarterback is Kirk Cousins or better, be happy with him.
Kirk Cousins won a playoff game.
He can win playoff games. He can win a Super Bowl, Hunter. If Trent Dilfer can win a Super Bowl, Kirk Cousins can win a Super Bowl.
All I've heard out of the Packers camp, reports, is that Jordan Love doesn't look good. And guess what? They traded up to get him. So if you got a quarterback that can win now, be happy with him.
Maybe their defense is awesome. Think about if you're Aaron Rodgers. One, you don't want your replacement being out there as a quarterback. Two, if you pick a quarterback in the first round and you don't have a first-round DB out there or a first-round
See, that's what I'm saying. It's like, it goes back to what you just said. That if they're not working out, they just spend years trying to replace him. They've got Aaron Rodgers right now, but they did a good job. Okay, they understand Aaron doesn't have a lot of years left, so they did draft Jordan Love. But even they just come out and said he looks bad. Like and it's like, what do you expect? What do you expect out of these quarterbacks that you just draft and they're only there for like a hot second, and then you're like, shit, let's just jump ship.
Wouldn't it be better, Hunter, to draft people you know are starters in the first 3 rounds, and then every year, if you want to,
draft a quarterback in like the 4th, 5th? Yeah.
Because in reality, if they drafted, Love this year in the first round, are they planning on starting him next year? Or are they planning on starting the next? Like, what year is the plan?
Well, Jordan Love
it's just such a waste.
Jordan Love fits what a lot of these young quarterbacks are going to go through. Think about it. Baker Mayfield is technically only on his 3rd season. Not every quarterback just has that shit together after their first 2 years in the league.
Patrick Mahomes does.
Not to mention, he's had now 3 different head coaches. Could you imagine how it would have been for Aaron Rodgers when he first took over? If he
Brady's been in the league longer than anybody, right?
If he had a different coach, Brady's been in the league.
No,
one. He won for the majority of his career. Aaron Rodgers got a Super Bowl. How many coaches has he had? Really, 1. Now he's got 2, but for the majority, it was McCarthy.
Teddy Bridgewater's on the hot seat here.
Teddy Bridgewater on the hot seat for Carolina. Why?
I think no matter what happens this year,
I think he's there.
Unless they're 1-15,
he's there.
Last year
they got him for a 3-year contract.
Last year, the Panthers were 30th in run in scoring defense, 30th in run. You just can't have again with Baker Mayfield. They can talk about Baker all they want. The defense is 22nd, Hunter.
Oh yeah.
All these teams we talk all the time.
Defense is bad, but they can't win.
If your defense isn't good, you're not going to win. It's just not going to happen. You cannot win in the NFL without a good defense, no matter who the quarterback is. Brady's never had a bad defense. We can talk about how great he is all we want, but he's not had a bad defense.
No.
Here's what they say about Bridgewater. He was given a 3-year deal, but if he doesn't prove worthy of replacing Cam Newton as franchise quarterback, the Panthers will look to draft their quarterback of the future in 2021.
With who?
With a crop headed by Trevor Lawrence. It's
they're not going to be there.
The Panthers would cut Bridgewater after 1 season because of how the contract is structured. Again, we've said this for weeks and months. If you pay attention, the coach got a 7-year deal. He got a longer year deal than Ron Rivera.
And Ron Rivera's got more power.
He's won. He had
Ron Rivera basically is the president of football operations.
Yeah. There's really no reasons for Bridgewater not to succeed on a unit that includes McCaffrey, DJ Moore, Samuel, and Robbie Anderson. Dead last, it's got the Jaguars, and next to last, it's got the Washington football team.
That doesn't surprise me. They hate us.
Says Dwayne Haskins Jr. is on the hot seat again. Hunter, you guys got
agree
a
with
decent
that, though.
defense.
I agree with that though. That Dwayne should be on the hot seat because now he's had a full season to put the work in, or a full off season. Now we see how it comes together. They're gonna put the ball in his hands from the get go. Now we see how it comes together. So I agree fully that he should be on the hot seat. Now, with us being dead second to last in the league, yikes. No, I don't agree with that. Our defense is going to be too good. Carson Wentz apparently missed a little bit of practice this week due to some sort of injury or some sort of nagging soreness or whatnot. Mm-hmm. He plays that front four week 1. So his shit better be tight, all right? He hope his offensive line blocks for him because that front four is coming for you.
So we won't pick games until Saturday, and we'll pick,
we're
only
yeah,
gonna pick one game on Saturday.
yeah,
It'll
which
be
is the
next
Thursday
Saturday
game.
when we will pick the rest of them. So the first game, the schedule, everybody, is September 10th. Houston and Kansas City, Seattle and Atlanta, Jets at Bills, Bears at Lions, Packers at Vikings, Dolphins at Patriots, Eagles at Redskins or Washington, Vegas Raiders at Panthers, Colts at Jaguars, Browns at Ravens, Chargers at Bengals, Buccaneers at Saints, Cardinals at 49ers, and Cowboys at Rams on Sunday Night Football to end week 1. On Sunday, the Monday night matchups to start the season are Steelers at Giants and Titans at Broncos. So
I'm just sitting here thinking about how good our defense is. if it all comes together, I'm just gonna read you some names. So Montez Sweat, he's 6'8", and he's a defensive end that can run 4.4. He's gonna be starting this year. Darren Payne, Matt Ioannidis, and Chase Young. And if Chase Young is anything that they are predicting him to be, then he will run away with Defensive Rookie of the Year and will just be a force in this league. That leaves, because we're running a 4-3, that leaves Ryan Kerrigan, the Pro Bowl defensive end that we've had for years, coming off the bench. Not only that, we got Cole Holcomb at the middle linebacker position, Reuben Foster, who is fast as hell for an edge linebacker, Kendall Fuller, who just won the Super Bowl, and Landon Collins at our safety. And that's not even me listing everybody else. That defense is going to be disgusting if everybody buys in.
where was y'all last year?
Defensively, if I'm not mistaken, through the first few weeks, we were like 6th.
That is not what I said.
Where were we last year, though? I
Yeah.
couldn't tell you.
For the year. Let's see. Total yards.
I think we were
Washington.
probably bad.
No. Total yards, Washington was
Offense is what hurt
26th.
us last year.
26th.
Offense is what hurt us last year because we had no idea what we were doing at the quarterback position.
Well, that plus the defense. You were 29, 28, 27, 26 in scoring, too, giving up 27 a game. NFL average is 23.5, 24. So, I mean,
We go from having an offensive-minded head coach to a defensive-minded head coach, and we go from having a defensive coordinator that doesn't know his left hand from his right hand to a defensive coordinator that has produced Super Bowl caliber teams.
the best defenses in the league, Hunter,
Defenses.
give up under 20 points a game. There's your top 10.
I say even if we give up 21 points per game, that'll be a substantial jump from where we were last year.
21 would put you right in the middle of the pack, or about 13. Right now, you're at 27. Here's your worst in the league last year. Miami 31, Panthers 20. I mean, Panthers give up 29 points a game last year. You're talking to me about Teddy Bridgewater's on the hot seat. Get the hell out of here. 28 for the Giants, 28 for the Bucks. You know, you talk about Tom Brady all we want in that
Oh, that
offense. They don't
defense.
stop nobody. It ain't going to matter.
Yeah.
So these teams are 28, 27. Those are just bad defenses. Think about it, Hunter. You guys give up 27 points a game. The Patriots' #1 defense gave up 14.
Because I'm
touchdowns
going
less
to
a
be.
game.
I'm serious with you. I'm looking at our regular season, and I'm going to sit here and I'm going to tell you what teams could possibly put above 21 on us. What'd you do?
I just dropped my softball. Seeing how far it
Oh.
rolled.
Possibly game 1, but you never know. That's the Eagles. I don't think the Cardinals put 21 up on us because outside of Kyler Murray, they don't have any offensive threats. The Browns could, but I don't know if the Browns have figured it out yet. So there's possible 2 out of the, and the Ravens will as well, and maybe the Rams. So out of our first 5 games, there'll be 4 teams that could possibly put 21 up on us. But that is if our front 4 isn't as disruptive as it can be. That's also not talking about how we got Super Bowl winning cornerback back Kendall Fuller, who can line up and kind of, he's not shut down, but he can take away a good part of the side of the field. The Giants, they're not putting 21 on us. The Cowboys, I don't know what they're going to do under Mike McCarthy. So, and what I saw from them last year, they're so hit and miss. I don't see them putting 21 up on us.
Was it Dak's 1-6 last year against winning teams?
Yeah, and we're not a winning team. I know we will. I know we will not be a winning team. But so I'll just say this too. So it's Giants. They won't put 21 on us. Cowboys, they might, but I don't think they will put 21 on us in the first game that we play against them. Then we play the Giants again. That's another no 21. The Lions, they're not putting 21 on us. The Bengals, they're not putting 21 on us. The Cowboys again. Maybe. I think that's Thanksgiving. 11/26. Isn't that Thanksgiving this year? Yeah, that's Thanksgiving game this year. Steelers, they probably will. 49ers, they probably will. Seahawks, they probably will. Panthers, we don't know.
I don't know about the Seahawks. They're hit and miss a lot of times. They'll win a game 13-7, and you're just like,
yeah, well, even still.
What just happened?
Well, the 49ers beat us last year, but it was like 13-9 because it was so rainy they couldn't do anything. So,
yeah. Listen,
look, our defense has got a lot of promise.
I think you got.
We just won't score.
Yeah,
maybe, unless something has magically happened with Dwayne and he just masters this offense.
Well, the good news is that Ron Rivera coaches that way, so he'll have you in games.
We'll have us in close games.
It'll be like 20-13. Your offense is gonna look like shit. You're like, we can still win, boys.
But our defense will hold up. We'll get the kickers.
Welcome to Panthers ball.
Hey, it led them to a Super Bowl once.
It had 3 winning seasons in 9 years.
It might lead us to a Super Bowl once.
3 winning seasons.
So far, we followed the same.
Years.
So far, we followed the same model the 49ers followed last year. At the 2 pick, we took a defensive end. That's what they did.
Y'all going to the Super Bowl this year?
We're going to the Super Bowl, baby. We got a new head coach,
new starting quarterback,
new starting quarterback.
Yeah, okay.
Hey, we're just following the footsteps of the 49ers.
Listen,
go Washington.
I believe I'm one of the folks that believes sports are fixed. So if the Washington team losing their logo, I've been saying for years that they won't let them win because of the logo. Once they started complaining about it like a really lot, I'm like, I swear I think Jerry Jones signed a deal when he bought the team that they would let him
win
do whatever the hell he can basically for so many years, and after that they shut it down. Jordan ain't won nothing. Nothing. They ain't won nothing as an owner. It's just, to me, just how many people you see really successful at everything like that? Or both?
I don't know.
More than one thing. I question everything. That's just me being who I am. All right. Any other news and notes on today that's come across? Let me check my Twitter timelines. We always have something that comes across our board big or something.
No, the only thing that I was going to speak on was just that, man, I'm happy Washington actually came out and announced who the starting quarterback was going to be. And, I'm actually happy that it is Dwayne. I know what Kyle Allen can do, and I'm not going to sit here and say Kyle Allen is bad at all. Just, you took him with the first pick or your first-round pick. Give him the opportunity.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's Rivera's first year. It's Hastings got to have an opportunity sometime.
Haskins is technically his first year because he only played like 3 games last year.
So this is he needs to this is their one. I mean, they got a year to. They go in 16 and nobody will care. Well, somebody will care, but
I'll care if we go 0-16. But I think we can at least beat the Giants. But you get what I'm saying
as far as this is a pass year.
Mm-hmm.
Rivera's got cancer. He's a new team. Your organization's under turmoil.
I could see us. Listen, I don't know. You people gonna say I'm crazy, but with Ron Rivera having cancer, I'm not gonna lie. We could be 7-9, 7-9, 8-8 type team. Because it's one of those things where it's like that's gonna light a hidden fire somewhere. They're gonna play for their coach. They did it.
The defense will.
They did it under Chuck Pagano when Pagano got cancer with the Colts. They ran with it.
It's hard to play offensive passionately and well.
The defense will do it.
You understand what I mean?
The defense will do it, and especially because even though Jack Del Rio is the defensive coordinator, the head man of the defense will be Ron Rivera. Yeah. So they'll play hard for him.
I would say y'all get 3 to 7 wins this year. Just depending on matchups and games.
If we get 4 wins, it's 1 extra game more than we won last year. I'll be fine with it. That's a stepping stone.
Well, I mean, listen, you gave it 27 points a game last year.
If we cut it down.
If you add Chase Young and Ron Rivera and Del Rio doing your defense.
It'd take away 7, and we're just at 20.
Well, hell, I was going to say, if you take away 3, you're at league average. Surely
take away 3, yeah.
Surely to God, Ron Rivera's
we can stop a touchdown.
Good enough. Well, field goal. Just stop a field goal, and you're right there at it. If you stop, like I said, y'all got 2 more touchdowns a game than the Patriots did last year. Do you think that Dwayne Haskins is 2 touchdowns better than Tom Brady?
No.
That's the math you got to put in that. Like,
not right now. Maybe, but not. We just don't know.
And that's why everybody will blame Bridgewater. Like when Romo got blamed, they got beat 51-48 one game, and they blamed Romo for throwing a pick. And I'm like, he scored 48 points.
You didn't blame the defense that led up 51.
He didn't give up half a hundo.
A 50 burger. Come
He's
on
not
now.
Playing safety.
No.
Who are we blaming here? But yeah, quarterbacks get too much and not enough of the blame sometimes. It's all about them.
Oh my.
And not really the defense.
Joe Mixon, are you crazy?
What?
Running back Joe Mixon wants to end his career with Joe Burrow in Cincinnati. Oh, my God.
What's wrong with that?
I don't know. He signed his 4-year contract worth $48 million.
Love, ain't it?
I guess. God just got there. But look, everything I've heard out of that camp is he's commanding that offense, and they love him. So I seriously think, everybody wanted to hate on him because they said, well, he had so much talent at LSU. Is it gonna translate when he doesn't quite have all that talent around him? Yes. That's one of the prettiest deep ball throws I have ever seen out of a college quarterback was with Joe Burrow.
Tar Heels used to have a guy in the 90s that was awesome, had threw a good deep ball named Chris Keldorf.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about TJ Yates.
No, Chris Keldorf.
That was the early 2000s, but
I just wanted to mention before we get off the show, yesterday, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, was the anniversary of what some believe is the greatest football game in college football history. There's the block! Get that shit out of here, Hunter! Take that big blue.
That's the greatest.
Get the hell on.
That's the greatest upset of all time.
Ooh.
I will fight anybody that wants to talk to me about maybe a bigger upset, but to me, that is the greatest upset of all time.
How's that an upset?
Shut up.
How is that an upset?
Shut up.
It may be the greatest game. Look at that line from Armani. 17 of 23, 277, and 3 touchdowns in the big house.
You upset them.
And John Fox made him a punt returner.
You upset them.
John Fox made him a punt returner. 17 of 23, 227, 277, 3 touchdowns against Michigan. Better than any Ohio State quarterback has ever done against Michigan, Hunter. How about them Mountaineers? We'll see you guys Saturday on Sports Talk, KTC